We are coming up on the Hellfire Gala. We know that we're going to get a new X-Men team, and we have the identities of the new team before it comes out. We're going to talk about the new X-Men team, so this is going to be spoiler heavy. If you don't want to learn the identities and the new members of the X-Men, they're going to be joining Cyclops, Jean Grey, and Synch. You might not want to watch this. We also got a teaser for A.X.E Judgement Day about the 6 most important characters in the entire universe. You would have thought maybe we would get some established Marvel heroes and stuff like that, but it appears to be 6 random nobodies, just all from around the world, because you got to have the Burger King's Kids Club kind of thing going on in comic books nowadays. And here to talk with me about this breaking X-Men news is Doc. How you doing, Doc?
I am well, sir, and thank you for having me here to talk about this new team.
I don't think the other team got quite enough room to ever do anything really important, but we are on to the new team as far as the new X-Men. Once Hellfire Gala happens in the very short future, we knew Jean Grey, Cyclops, and Synch were coming back. Jean Grey, Cyclops absolutely makes sense. I don't know why Synch's coming back. So let's talk about the other members of this new X-Men team. First up, we have Iceman, Bobby Drake, joining the team. He's been severely misused pretty much for the last 8 years or so, ever since Brian Michael Bendis did his thing. We got the Scene of Grace stuff. That was terrible. We got the Jerry Duggan Marauder story with Iceman in it, where he was only able to tell the readers that he was gay, and that was it.
I can't wait. It's going to be Marauders 2.0. I mean, plus we got that fucking body harness weird kid Iceman that's coming now. Plus we're going to have him here. Oh, this is going to be a fucking train wreck, and I'm going to love every single second of it. And Jerry, because he's Jerry, the only thing he will be able to do is once again have Iceman pop in to scream, "I'm gay" at you, and then leave, because that's all he's going to do.
Well, the good thing is when they do reveal the team, it does appear that Iceman is not in drag anymore, because last Hellfire Gala, they made him a drag queen, which didn't seem to be in character. So at least he's wearing men's garments again. If the character's gay, so what? He's gay. That's perfectly fine. But can we at least treat him like an Omega level mutant, an actual superhero again? We've seen Jerry Duggan with the character recently. That didn't happen. I hope he does something, anything, to elevate Bobby Drake and treat him like the character with the history that he actually has in the Marvel Comics universe.
I wish. I don't have any hope for it. I'm inevitably going to be disappointed, and I'm trying to really not keep my hopes up, because at this point, anything above walking out screaming "I'm gay" at you and leaving again would be essentially exceeding my expectations.
Well, I don't know why you have any expectations when it comes to Bobby Drake and Marvel, based on recent history. But hey, I'm glad that you still are remaining a glasses half full kind of guy. The other character that we're getting is Cyclops' brother. We got Havok. We had a really great Hellions run. Havok was front and center. He might not have been the star of that series, but he's definitely a co-lead. Lots of stuff with him and Maddie Pryor. We haven't really got all that stuff fleshed out. You still have conflict between him and his brother. So I think it's a good inclusion on the team. He's got cool powers, a little bit of an overlap with Cyclops, but
I mean, look, getting Havok in there, I like that. But it feels like, they spent a bunch of time setting up the Havok Maddie stuff over in Hellions, and then they promptly put the payoff in fucking Vita Ayala's New Mutants, and never actually have them. Look, this is another case where all the payoff just doesn't happen. They're blue balling us again, and now they're sticking Havok in the X-Men, where he's not going to engage with Maddie, and we're not going to get any real payoff from that. So I feel like this is them just sticking him there just so they have an excuse. Well, maybe it's an excuse so that Vita can't have her and ruin that, or have.
I think
him.
It's weird to include Havok, because he has been shown to be like an emotional wreck. The people on Krakoa would know that. Why would they vote for him if they know that he's a walking, ticking time bomb?
I feel like if they would have been including him, yes, the Hellions themselves ended up as kind of heroes of Krakoa by the end, right around the end of their series. And that's the reason why they let Havok bring Maddie back. But the time for including him in the X-Men would have been on the first team as direct fallout of his success and the respect that he garnered, because it's now been, well, however the fuck long it's been in mutant time. Yeah, I know it's been 12 months in our time, but Lord only knows in fucking Krakoa time anymore, because apparently it happens in real time now, or they change teams every 3 weeks and they just have another party once a month to have a new team. But either way, that, I guess the bloom would be coming off the rose by now, because everybody would be no longer just emotionally following. Oh yeah, Havok, he was our hero during this thing with the Hellions. Let's give him the respect. Now they're waiting a year to then, so that all that, I guess, residual goodwill has already faded, and now they're going to vote for him. No, now everybody remembers he's an emotional wreck and he's impulsive like he's always been. So now would be the worst time to add him to the team. But of course, it's X-editorial, so fuck making sense.
So we have 3 more characters that get added to the team. This next one, I have no idea why anyone would vote for this character. I don't know why she's on the team. Maybe this was the fan vote. It's been so long, I don't remember. Firestar is not a character I really even remember. We haven't seen this character during the entire Krakoan era. It feels like we have too many mutants starring in this era as it is. Why go out and find another obscure character that is just going to sit in the background again?
Here, I figured it out. Jerry needs another fire-creating mutant to completely ignore, like he did Sunfire on the previous team. He needs an entirely new fire mutant to ignore. Nobody's going to remember her, because other than Amazing X-Men under Jason Aaron, she's never been part of the X-Men ever.
Yeah, now it's Jason Aaron. You shouldn't want to do what he did. He ruins everything.
That was
the team book.
That was the story that had Nightcrawler just decide, well, I'm gonna bamf back to Earth from heaven. That's how Nightcrawler came back to life. Under you really want to use anything that came out of Jason Aaron X-Men? No, nobody does. It's a bad idea. And honestly, her costume looks like if you set Hellcat on fire.
No, that's not a good design. No one knows who Firestar is. I don't know why that character's there. The next one I do find interesting. I'm surprised they're taking Magik away from New Mutants. That's probably the most popular character in that series. Do they want to keep making New Mutants? Maybe that series is going to end after this anniversary milestone. And, let's bring Magik over onto the main team. Obviously, she's trying to get rid of Limbo, and I think she's lost right now. I don't know exactly where they are in that New Mutant story. But, everybody likes Ileana. That's a good character. I don't know what she's really going to bring. I guess she's going to be the powerhouse.
No, she's going to be like the killer on the team, like the Wolverine. Although I have this weird feeling that this one's only going to be temporary.
Well, yeah, because in 12 issues, they're going to have another vote, and they're all going to be gone.
Well, yeah, I mean less than 12 issues level temporary.
She's going to get the Sunfire treatment.
Yeah, where she just kind of completely gets ignored. That's hey, look, you can ignore a fire person and somebody else this time. Plus, she's Russian, so, Jerry Duggan's probably going to have to make some weird commentary on fucking Russia out of this.
You got to. You can't ignore stuff like that. That's a perfect opportunity to say something. I like Magik. I think that was a pretty good inclusion. The last one is my favorite one. This is the character I think needs to be on this team. Here's my only drawback on adding Forge to the team, Doc. I don't think Jerry Duggan's an interesting enough or accomplished enough writer to do anything good with Forge. I think he's going to be a walking Deus Ex Machina. He's going to be a plot device that when you need to do something, Forge is going to have created that 3 weeks ago, and it's sitting right there, and he's going to give it to them. And maybe give them some intel, but not really going out there and showing what a badass warrior Forge really is. He's a world-class athlete. He's a very skilled hand-to-hand combat fighter. Obviously, he's a great inventor. He might be low-key my favorite, X-Men outside of like Nightcrawler and Wolverine. So I'm glad to see him here. I just wish somebody that was a better writer was going to be doing this.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that this is Jerry Duggan, so all they're going to do is they're going to give him the Tony Stark treatment, where you come in, you insult him, and he like technology wizards you a gift that'll solve all your fucking problems. That the way that they've treated Tony Stark for the last like 15 years, that's what this is going to be. And they're going to do the exact same thing to Forge. Hey, so if you've read basically anything that guest starred Iron Man in the last 10 years, 15 years, hey, you just read what they're going to do to Forge for the next, at least 12 issues. No, I love Forge. I think he's very useful. I think he needs to only be in one book, though, He is not quite interesting or unique enough, especially considering that they're already using him for this exact purpose over in X-Force. So bringing him over to X-Men, using him the exact same way, because that's the only way that Jerry knows how to use him, is just going to be boring. I already read this. I don't need to read it again.
I hope they do something. It's like he needs some shine. He could be a major league player within the X-Men team. He could be a real powerhouse. He could be a problem solver, and they could have some unique stories. But I think he's just going to be making weapons and stuff. And then they go, "Oh my goodness, there's an extraterrestrial box that we need to communicate with." And he's like, "Well, I created this transmitter last week. It should do the job." And
yeah,
they'll talk to it.
Yeah, exactly. God forbid there's any fucking struggle.
Yeah,
and
this technology has kind of started to ruin comic books. It started with Batman. It's definitely snuck its way in hardcore into X-Men.
Yeah. So, I'm severely underwhelmed by this team in general.
Well, speaking of it could have been worse than being underwhelmed. We got this teaser image for Axe Judgment Day #2, and talk about underwhelmed. This, nothing could be less whelming than this one. You may think the most important people in the Marvel Universe are heroes like Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man, but according to Marvel Comics, the most important people in the Marvel Universe are 6 random people who seemingly aren't superheroes or even super at all. According to a new teaser for Axe Judgment Day, the most important people in the Marvel Universe are Tom from London, Katrina from Vancouver, Arjun from Mumbai, Daniela from Sao Paulo, Jada from New York, and Kenta from Yokohama.
These are all the characters for Marvel's Captain Planet.
Maybe.
Because basically they're all from, the only thing you're missing is one from Africa. There's no African.
Well, there's 2 Asian characters. Why couldn't we get an African character?
Yeah, you got Mumbai and Yokohama, and you got Vancouver.
Katrina from Vancouver.
Oh, I guess Jada from New York's black, so I guess that makes her African American. They get to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. But you know what? When their powers combine, they are going to form Captain Krakoa.
That would be great if they Voltroned it up and Captain Krakoa ended up being this giant, kaiju type thing trying to kill everybody. But this is a pretty stupid promo. It doesn't get me more excited for the event. It makes me roll my eyes and think, is this worse than I'm expecting? Because I'm not expecting much.
Oh, we got 6 Layla Millers now. And for anybody who remembers or doesn't remember, Layla Miller was the most important character in the entire Marvel Universe during House of M. According to Brian Bendis, she knows stuff. And
that's a superpower unto itself.
Exactly. But the only person to ever do anything with it was Peter David in X Factor, after House of M was over, and Layla Miller didn't matter at all. So considering that this is part of Axe Judgment Day, we're just getting 6 Layla Millers this time. And I guess their power is going to be fucked if I know and random plot mechanics.
The power to diversity, Doc.
It's the power to diversity and the power to Kieran Gillen plot device.
Well, I don't even know what plot devices they're going to be. I imagine they play something into the story.
Oh, it's just generic fill in the blank plot device.
But it doesn't make me want to read the story. I think that's probably the problem. We're seeing that the interest in Dark Crisis for DC, their big event, is very, very low. The sales are shockingly low for an event book from DC. Marvel's got this big event book. You've got the Eternals in there. Not a lot of people excited. This is probably the worst state we've seen Avengers in the last 15 years, maybe. And the X-Men aren't much better. The only reason it's not the worst is because we had the X-Men colors issues with red, blue, and gold that were probably worse than what we're seeing now. So it's not like any of these teams or franchises or groups of characters are in great shape when people are like, oh my God, I want to see this. It's kind of like, why now? And then you see something like this and you're like, yeah, why now?
Yeah. It really is. I mean, yeah, Avengers right now is in the worst position that it's been since before Bendis took over, when it was just very floundering. To be perfectly honest, it was very floundering. X-Men is the worst it's been since, actually, honestly, I think there was better content during the color era. Sometimes it would be blue, sometimes it would be gold, but sometimes there was a good comic.
But it was never
era.
red.
No, it was never red. And it was never red. It was never black. Those were fucking terrible. And Eternals are just, they're on their like 73rd consecutive failure. Nobody can get these fucking characters over. They are Doink the Clown. I don't know. Pick your
Papa Shango.
Papa Shango, impossible to get over wrestler. That's what all the Eternals are. And now you've just decided that your big piece of marketing intrigue is 6 random boring looking motherfuckers. That's it. Just 6 random boring schlubs from the street. Look, this is not marketing. This is poor marketing. This would be something, if you would have built something up, if you had any sort of momentum going into this event, the way that you did for, say, like Absolute Carnage and even King in Black, maybe you could get somewhere with this. But this is just throwing shit at the wall and see what sticks.
Of course, at the same time, we got Hellfire Gala number 2 coming up. I think this is a terrible idea. And I know they sold some covers because they had some stupid dresses and whatnot, but I don't think Hellfire Gala was a success because the story sucked. And by the end of it, people were kind of pissed that they wasted their money. So they're doing it twice. Now, it isn't every issue in X-Men. It is a giant-sized Hellfire Gala, but I still think it's a bad idea. Still destined to fail. X-Men needs a reboot. Again,